Hey everybody, Bob here again, and we're going to dive into step 3 here in just a moment, and I know everybody's anxious to get to that, but just want to give you a few more thoughts about step 2, and I hope you took the time to try to create some of your own chunks, but I want to go ahead and take that just a little bit deeper for you here, just to give you a little bit more of an idea of what you can actually do. And all the chunks that I use seem like logical places to at least to me, to split the lick up, but if you remember the lick, what if we started the chunks on this second note right here? So I could go, have a little 2-note chunk like that. I could have a 3-note chunk like that. I could have a 4-note chunk like that. You know, a 5-note chunk. So you see, I can start on each note and keep adding successive notes on from the lick and create these bigger and bigger chunks. I can start in the middle of the lick instead of, again, here at the middle, the beginning rather. I could, let's say this part right here, I could go, there's a chunk right there, there's a chunk, another chunk like that. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more food for thought, how you can start on each part of the lick, each note on the lick, and you can start building up from there. 1 note, 2 notes, 3 notes, 4 notes, until you've chunked, up to the highest possible point. And that's going to give you a lot of material to work with. Now, I want to go on to step 3 here and tell you about what's going to be happening in step 3. So in step 3, we're going to take all these chunks that we've come up with, and we're going to start to combine them into a solo. And step 3 is actually take those chunks and reorder them. That's all there is to it. You just play the chunks in different orders, and that gives you material to build a solo on. And now here's the really cool thing about that. Because we're dealing with a limited amount of material here, in other words, we're only talking about 5 notes, all the chunks that we take, since they're sort of closely related, it's going to be easier for you to create something that flows, that makes sense. It's not just going to be random gibberish. It's going to sound like things that are meant to go together. And I know that's sort of a subjective thing, and as you get better at soloing, you'll have your own thoughts about what exactly does fit together. But if you listen to solos, if you listen to your favorite players, you're going to notice that there's some sort of logic to what they're playing. Like everything feels like it should fit together. And sometimes you'll even get a little disconnect. You'll think, well, that lick that he played right there didn't really fit. And again, that's a subjective experience on everybody's part. But some of the things I want you to listen for here is, one, because we are dealing with this limited amount of material in terms of the number of notes, notice how when I play one of the chunks and then I play maybe that same chunk again, or I play that chunk with maybe another note added on, or maybe that same chunk with a note subtracted, it has a flow to it, it has a logic to it. So that's number 1. And notice how, again, it's sort of an extension of idea number 1 here. As I do that, as I repeat these ideas, it gives you something to latch onto. It makes sense to your ear. It's logical in some sort of way. And number 2, what I want you to notice is, for you, does it work? Does it not work? And I think this is something that every improviser goes through. Not everything we play, even in our own minds, is something that always works necessarily. But that's part of the excitement and thrill of improvisation. Don't worry about everything you play has to be a masterpiece, because it's just not going to happen. But there are going to be moments when you stumble onto stuff that's really cool that makes it all worthwhile. You're like, like the cook in the kitchen, tossing ingredients together to see if, what kind of dish you can come up with, or the evil scientist in the laboratory trying to create some kind of new concoction, invisibility potion or something. Who knows? I don't know. I'm getting off base here, I guess, a little bit, but you get the idea. It is an experiment, and you're trying to put stuff together that works and sounds good to you, and hopefully connects with the audience in some way. So those are a couple of thoughts about what's going to be happening here, and I'm going to put the track on that I gave you in step 2 in the last video. And I'm going to take some of these chunks we've been working with. I'm going to play a solo over that track. I'm going to give you the tab for it, and then I want you to take the track and do some experimenting of your own and use these chunks that you come up with to play your own solos. So give me just a second to get the track fired up here, and I'll be right back. Okay, we've got the track all set up here and ready to go. So see what we can come up with. Alright, so there's a bit of what you can do with these different chunks. I'm going to tab this out for you and make sure you have it to take a look at. And again, I want you to take this idea and I want you to work on this on your own. And remember, like we said, it's not everything you play is going to be a masterpiece. I think that's one of the things that we have to get over as improvisers. We have to worry about the fact that everything that we're trying to do is going to be, you know, some sort of a brilliant effort. So that's not the case at all. Have fun with this track, and I'll be back with step 4 in a couple of days.